Have you ever wondered why the Israel-Palestine conflict, one of the world's longest-running, seems so complex and difficult to resolve? Let's travel back in time to the late 19th and early 20th centuries to uncover the roots of this enduring conflict. It was during this period that two significant movements, Zionism and Arab nationalism, were gaining momentum. Zionism, led by Jews, was a call for the establishment of a Jewish state in the land of Israel, their ancestral homeland. Concurrently, Arab nationalism emerged, advocating for the independence and unity of Arab peoples, including those residing in Palestine. In the midst of these rising tensions, Britain issued the Balfour Declaration in 1917. This document expressed British support for a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine without infringing on the rights of the non-Jewish communities present. The following years saw the British Mandate of Palestine, further complicating the situation as immigration swelled the Jewish population, heightening tensions between the Jewish and Arab communities. Thus, the stage was set for a conflict rooted in national identity, land, and religious beliefs. The year 1948 marked a significant turning point in the conflict. It was in this year that the State of Israel was officially established, following the United Nations Partition Plan. This decision, however, was met with resistance from neighboring Arab states, who refused to accept the partition of Palestine. Subsequently, a war broke out, known as the First Arab-Israeli War. This war was not simply a battle of armies, but a clash of narratives and claims to the same land. The conclusion of the war saw Israel victorious, but it also led to a significant and heartbreaking event for the Palestinian people. They refer to this as the Nakba, or the catastrophe, which involved the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians from their homes. This event was a major contributor to the deepening divide between the Israelis and Palestinians. It was a source of pain, resentment, and anger that fueled further conflicts and tensions. The creation of Israel and the First Arab-Israeli War were not just historical events, but the start of a long and complex struggle. This event deepened the rift, leading to further conflicts and tensions between the two groups. Fast forward to 1967, a war that lasted only 6 days but had lasting impacts. In this year, a conflict known as the Six-Day War broke out. Israel, in a preemptive strike, managed to seize control of the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, East Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights. This rapid expansion of territory was a significant victory for Israel, but it also marked the beginning of a new chapter in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. In the aftermath of the war, Israel began establishing settlements in these occupied territories. These settlements, built on land considered by many to be Palestinian, have been a source of friction ever since. They are viewed by Palestinians as a tangible symbol of Israeli occupation and a significant barrier to peace. The repercussions of the Six-Day War and the subsequent Israeli occupation continue to reverberate today. The war, although brief, significantly altered the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. The settlements, a legacy of the war, remain a contentious issue. The effects of this war still resonate in the conflict today. The late 20th century was marked by uprisings and attempts at peace. The First Intifada, a Palestinian uprising against Israeli occupation, began in the late 80s. This grassroots movement, characterized by strikes, boycotts, and demonstrations, led to a significant shift in the dynamics of the conflict. In the early 90s, the Oslo Accords were signed, marking the first face-to-face agreement between the government of Israel and the Palestine Liberation Organization. This was seen as a significant stride towards peace, with the accords outlining a plan for Palestinian self-government. However, the dawn of the new millennium saw the commencement of the Second Intifada. This period of intensified Israeli-Palestinian violence was a clear indication that the peace process was far from complete. In the year 2000, the Camp David summit was held with hopes of resolving the conflict once and for all. But the summit ended without an agreement, showing the world that the path to peace was still steeped in complexity and contention. Despite attempts at peace, the conflict remained unresolved. So where does the conflict stand today? In recent years, the Israel-Palestine conflict has seen significant developments. One such event was the United States' recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital, a move that sparked controversy and ignited protests across the region. This decision has been viewed by many as a deviation from the long-held position of international consensus. Then there's the Great March of Return, a series of protests launched in 2018 by Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. These protests, calling for the right of return for Palestinian refugees to their homes, have been met with a strong response from Israeli forces and have resulted in a tragic loss of life. Meanwhile, the issue of Israeli settlements in the West Bank continues to be a major source of tension. These settlements, considered illegal by international law, have triggered disputes over land and resources. The plight of refugees, displaced from their homes and longing for a resolution, remains a heartbreaking reality of this conflict. As we see, the Israel-Palestine conflict is complex and deeply rooted in history, making the path to peace difficult, but not impossible. Let's remember, understanding the past is key to addressing the present and shaping the future. Thank you for taking the time to learn about the Israel-Palestine conflict.